Hollywood is a wasteland, creatively and morally, and every year the Oscars reminds us of that. But a high school pimp, an overconfident fighter pilot, and a repentant sports agent turned fighter pilot again might actually be able to save it. And yeah, he's a little bit crazy, but he's pulled off a true Mission Impossible. So dust off your VHS copy of Days of Thunder, start jumping on your couch, and let's see the unseen. It's the era of franchises and reboots, and audiences love Top Gun: Maverick to the tune of nearly $1.5 billion worldwide. Pete Mitchell pilots a thrilling story with an emotional core that most action films lack, even if it did rip a bit of material from Episode 4, A New Hope. And hey, it did get some attention from the Academy. 5 nominations, including Best Picture, Editing, Effects, Sound, and Adapted Screenplay. And it also won Best Picture at the AARP's Movies for Grown-Ups Awards. And as we've come to expect, Tom Cruise's stunts were 100% real. He does the work himself, and it shows. But contrast Maverick and most of Tom Cruise's other movies with the churned-out, predictable content that fills the elitist celebration out of the Hunger Games capital that we call the Oscars, and dump on a heavy dose of political lectures that nobody wants to hear, you get a serious economics problem.
Jerry, you better yell! Show me the money!
Last year, most moviegoers hadn't even heard of the nominees for Best Picture.
Oh, wow!
There's a reason that we analyzed a slap more than any award-nominated film. That mismatch reveals a gap in the marketplace. People just want to be entertained, and that's what Tom Cruise understands. And he gets that cultural goods in an economic sense are unique. Films aren't interchangeable the way commodities like oil and gas are. If you bought a Blu-ray of Wakanda Forever and the disc inside was actually Air Bud Golden Receiver, you wouldn't just shrug and say, a movie's a movie. You'd be economically unfulfilled by a poor substitute. And while every Tom Cruise flick might not be the dramatic equivalent of the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, people do like his movies more than, say, Strange World. Look, it's fine for actors and directors to voice their opinions, and they can create movies aligned with their politics. But in the end, you've got to tell a great story. Because no one's forced at gunpoint to watch movies. Whether it's streaming in your bedroom or paying $1.37 per bite of popcorn in a theater, watching films is a totally voluntary transaction. People expect to get something they enjoy for the time and money they put in, and for the opportunity cost of missing what they don't watch. From being dazzled by Georges Méliès' A Trip to the Moon to the latest seat-grabbing chapter in Pete Mitchell's storied military career, it's always been about entertainment. Make a spectacle worth seeing, and well, people want to see it. There is another way to do it, and that's a cheap appeal to virtue. For all the hackneyed talk of identity politics in modern media, companies have been doing this for 100 years. Check this one out. Edward Bernays is known as the father of public relations, and in 1929, the American Tobacco Company hired him to make the cigarette a symbol of female empowerment. That would increase cigarette sales among the untapped consumer base of women by playing into a social movement of the day. So, Bernays staged a performative protest in which women smoked while marching down Fifth Avenue in the interests of equality of the sexes. Entertaining? Yeah, kinda. But once the headlines were gone, it faded from memory as just another stunt. Like every forgettable film up for an award for having the right politics in the moment, and not because people love the story and performance. Tom Cruise isn't performative. He just performs. He'll do just about anything for a movie. He doesn't believe in stunt doubles, which is why he himself rode a motorcycle off a Norwegian cliff into a parachute jump, which was filmed by drones programmed to record his leap based on extensive testing that predicted his trajectory in different wind conditions, which is rad. But what Tom Cruise hasn't done is insert his political beliefs into his movies to try to convince the audience that he's enlightened. Or that they are. From watching his films, we don't know what Tom Cruise thinks about Roe vs. Wade or Donald Trump. We just know he makes awesome movies. And yeah, he's got some personal beliefs that people find suspect. He's made controversial statements about psychiatry and antidepressants, and his involvement in Scientology is infamous. He's got strong convictions, but he's never used his art to push those beliefs on the audience. He knows that when people look at him, they aren't really seeing Tom Cruise. They're seeing a greaser in The Outsiders. They're seeing Cole Trickle learning that rubbin's racing. They're seeing a billiard savant hustle a hustler. They're seeing Ethan Hunt pulling off the impossible over and over, and Pete Mitchell saving the world for a new generation. Tom Cruise isn't selling himself. He's selling his characters and his art, and that's why so many people choose to buy.
Tom Cruise!
gosh, this is very exciting.
Yeah, he's one guy, and Hollywood is a nebulous, faceless conglomerate. It's easy to control yourself compared to engineering a turnaround in the morass that is the global entertainment industry. But Hollywood can jump off a cliff too, and that trajectory might actually take them off the path to irrelevance. They can focus on serving their audience. And they don't have to make movies like Mission Impossible 7 to do it. Studios like A24 have committed to delivering films that viewers enjoy, or that terrorize them or make them think. But what they haven't done is pump out 90-minute moral and political treatises, and they've succeeded in satisfying audiences without pandering to the lowest common denominator. Maverick and films like Everything Everywhere All at Once reveal the spectrum of entertainment that people truly enjoy. Films that they'll remember and maybe even rewatch. And when they do, the current events-driven morals and politics won't be there to ring hollow 10 or 20 years later. Great stories hold up over time. Politics don't. And despite his flaws, Tom Cruise understands that better than anyone.